This is Snakes and Otters, a pointless discussion of eternal questions. Get ready. We're about to live in your head rent-free.
Hello, Otterites.
I am Martin.
And I'm Robert.
I'm Francis.
I'm Marcus.
And I'm Cajun, back from my dimension-hopping trip here that you ain't seen me for a while.
That's right. We welcome Cajun back to the fold. He's always been here, but never been here in the last few several episodes. Francis in the captain's chair this time again here. We're here at the marvelous Studio R this morning here. Thank you.
Back in the redecorated and refurbished atrium.
That's right. Yeah. Well, Brother Andre is somewhere in Canada, I believe.
He has been kidnapped by a raging horde of Canadians who wanted more of their Tim Horton and donut holes.
Okay, that's what it was. I knew there was a story, but I wasn't sure exactly what.
That's where he was gone the last time, distributing food to the downtrodden, oppressed Canadians, and they miss him.
Of course.
I thought I heard he made a disparaging remark about maple syrup also that really got him riled up and
man.
going.
That could be. You never know. I mean,
there's a lot of consoling to do in Canada right now. They're all crying into their poutine about the hockey.
Yeah.
well, that's true, and they don't have any bourbon, so and they block that.
That and round bacon. My goodness.
yeah, Brother Andre's doing the Lord's work, comforting the the Canadians.
That's right. So we have 5 of the 6 of us here. You know, it's
He ain't got a lick of sense to try to comfort the Cajuns now. Come on.
No.
He be running, screaming.
And this is a lovely atrium with the vaulted ceiling and the sex swing. It's just wonderful.
Hold that thought.
Leave it to the Imperator to create an image that nobody thought they wanted.
Are you
It's
volunteering?
not my swing.
Are you volunteering to test it out to make sure they have it seated
Proper
properly?
weight load.
See if it's rated for weight.
Listeners,
Just remember,
listeners,
Mrs. Robert does listen to episodes on an occasion.
Robert does not have any kind of sexual apparatus in the atrium.
Well,
In
he
the
didn't say about the
the
basement in his sex dungeon.
Yeah, in the atrium.
In the atrium,
You don't know what's in that couch.
that's true. You don't know what's underneath.
Well, let's face it. They probably got it down in the basement. They probably got a sex dungeon.
She
down there
does
we
not
don't know
go
about.
to the basement.
No.
Not willingly.
Well, that's true.
And that's part of the game, right?
Yes.
Blindfolded.
Okay, rabbit hole, boys, rabbit hole.
And that episode degenerated fast.
It did.
Well, I have been gone.
That might be a new record. That
Rabbit hole. Is that
under
some of the
3 minutes.
innuendo?
Yeah.
Is that innuendo there? Rabbit hole?
It wasn't intended to be,
Oh,
but
okay.
Imperator, you can.
But it is a good bourbon.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yes.
right. It is very. Yes, it's a good. I don't think it's on the list for anybody.
In
today,
downtown
but,
Louisville?
That's true. Very. Yeah. We've met those folks. They're nice people. Very
Mm-hmm.
good product too. But we're not talking about that just yet. We're talking about the second part of the Napoleon Bonaparte episode, the one that some of my compadres here have come to kicking and screaming.
It's about Napoleon. That'd be confrères.
Oh, very good, very good. See,
Yes.
he's really getting into this here. You might.
That's about my most positive contribution
I was
today.
just saying because I know exactly as I look at Robert across the table, I know exactly who does not like this topic.
So how tall was he? I got disparaged for making a short comment the other
You
day.
did.
He took that bait like that. Oh my God.
Well,
British
that's right because
propaganda that he was a short guy.
yeah, it is British.
He was
propaganda.
remarkably average.
He was remarkably average because he wasn't tall. They could get away with calling him short.
But by being remarkably average,
Yeah.
about 50% of the people in the world are taller than him.
We all talking about the height from the ground up, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, not when he's vertical.
And to be honest, it's something that has
It'd be
stuck with.
horizontal.
It has stuck with us
horizontal,
in our
yes.
understanding about him. And here's a quick little aside and a
they-
case in point.
Napoleon complex, yeah.
Abel Gance did 2. He's a Frenchman. Did 2 amazing movies about Napoleon from a very French point of view. Naturally, one was the silent film Napoleon from the 20s that won numerous amounts of awards. But he also did one in the 50s called Austerlitz, which is a very good recreation of the battle and all that went on around it. And it was done in French, of course. It's kind of hard to find, especially with subtitles. But there's a scene at the beginning where Napoleon is trying to put on bigger shoes so he can be taller. And this is made by the French. Go
Oh,
figure.
okay. Well, here's a little follow-up to that. It says he was 5'6" to 5'7". The misconception stems from a 5'2" recording in Old French measurements, which used a longer inch. We'll leave it to the French to make the inches longer, I guess, to prop their ego up some.
Exactly.
Well, no, actually, that would have the
That would
reverse
make you
effect.
shorter.
Yeah.
Uh,
They're screwing it up because if the inches are shorter, you get more inches per
That's what he said.
Well, I understand that, but I'm saying from
They-
the French
Yeah,
perspective.
they
that
made the
them
inches
think-
longer, so he was only 5'2"
Yeah.
in
But
that
he- but-
measurement.
right, but he
in-
really was-
In real measurements, he was pretty
About 5'6".
average.
Well, he was still
5'7".
shorter than me, and I'm the shortest one out of this group anyway.
Yeah.
So-
Mm.
So basically, last time we covered the coup of A.T. Brumaire, how he kind of lucks into the whole thing, how his brother kind of scatters the parliament and everything, and he takes over the first consulate, and historians generally see that as the end of the revolution.
That's exactly right. And that's where we're gonna kind of end. We're kind of gonna begin today. Is after that, and this is where the true genius or megalomania eventually.
Six
Of-
Emperor Tyrannus.
That's correct. It eventually begins here, because this the consulate it takes place in 1790.
Somewhere in there, right after that, yeah.
99. And he's crowned emperor in 1804 by himself, of course. A lot of stuff happens between then and that. But-
Yeah, I mean, it takes over. The consulate morphs into the First French Empire. He promulgates the rights of man and citizen.
That's right, the Napoleonic Code. That's correct, which
You know,
is
it's a big deal for to actually for a dictator essentially to then promulgate that, like, the subjects of the dictatorship have rights and everything. Okay.
yeah. I mean, Napoleon is he's woefully complicated. As
Well, that's the thing about a dictator, though. He can say you have rights.
He doesn't have to always recognize them.
Exactly.
State
or
of
allow you
emergency,
to exercise
yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now I know where the short complex came from and why he's angry all the time. Apparently, he was very under average in other places.
Ah. So he did have a Napoleon complex,
Yes.
just a different kind.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So,
They're saying maybe 2 inches
ooh.
by some missed and undocumented reports.
Well, maybe
It
he
was definitely very small, according to most records.
Well, 2 inch. I mean, maybe he was a grower, not a shower.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
Lord,
good.
how
That's,
did we
that's
end
micro
up here?
class.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, apparently Joseph. Well, let me put it to you this way: if you guys saw the Ridley Scott movie, that's
Did not.
Did anybody
No.
here besides me see? Well, basically, it's an excuse.
You saw it enough for all of us.
Okay, I saw both versions, the extended and the other. And hey, love Ridley Scott, love the subject matter, and I think the casting wasn't bad. Joaquin Phoenix as Napoleon was pretty good, and Vanessa Kirby. Hey, we all love Vanessa Kirby, right?
Who's she?
Context.
Vanessa Kirby,
Sue Storm.
thank you. Yeah, is Sue Storm in Fantastic Four, and she's
Newest movie?
Which one?
The newest.
the newest one.
Oh,
Okay.
I haven't seen that one yet, actually.
It's pretty good.
All right. Well, Vanessa, you should know Vanessa Kirby. I'm stunned that you don't. She's a beautiful, amazing actress. She plays Josephine, and basically, the movie, in many respects, at least the first portions of it, is an excuse for the two of them to boff on screen. So there's lots of that goes on.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Well, I mean, Josephine was a good catch for him, right?
Well, she was because she
she's
was
like
she
noble related or
was
something, right?
Yeah, she was, and she was a widow. Her husband died during the Revolution. She herself was kind of like stateless at the time. She almost was executed herself, and Napoleon took a shine to her. That's really actually pretty well covered accurately in that movie. How they came together, and theirs was a great love story. But eventually, after like 14 years together, he ends up having to divorce her because they can't produce an heir.
Well, now we know why.
Well, but he does produce an heir twice outside of her. He has a illegitimate son by a young countess. That was kind of like the test. This is long after he's emperor, and they're going to say, "Well, is it?" This is actually, Henry VIII would have never done this, mind you. Is it me or is it she? Was the question.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally it's always she.
That's correct.
That was always,
And they were
something's
they were-
wrong with her. Get her to a nunnery and get me a new one.
That's right. Well, that's
Can we be sure he didn't have a stand-in for that performance, too?
no, it's pretty well documented that what happened is they brought her in and she got pregnant very
Were-
quickly.
Was there somebody in the room? I mean, so well documented.
Call it what you will. It's
Well,
believed.
in those days, they did have an audience sometimes.
That's correct. But no, in this case here, this was a test, so it was very secret, and she was well compensated. And yeah, she got pregnant right away.
Lots
So
of
that's
people
why
are big on
In money, I
audiences.
take it.
in money, and so that's when they
Politicians don't marry poor people.
and again, I'm really kind of getting ahead of myself chronologically here, but that's when he makes. This is long after the Peace of Amiens, and this is long before the the campaign into Russia, where and there's a piece with him and the Austrians, and it's the Austrian emperor's daughter, Marie Louise, that they make the deal with. That you come here, become the new French empress, and it was kind of like a rapprochement, to use a little French there, between the two of them. And she does have a son, Napoleon II, who eventually dies in prison as a young man.
Right.
But
But okay, so just besides his side hustles, basically promulgates the rights of man and citizen.
Yep.
Institutes the continental system.
that comes a little bit later, but yes, it does.
That's
correct.
kind of what's coming next, though, is because he's in this conflict with Britain. He sees this as a way to hurt Britain, and the idea is whatever he takes over or whatever he can make an agreement with, Germany, whatever, they can't trade with Britain.
Yes, but we got a lot of stuff to get to before we get to that, because that comes much later when it's just Britain left.
Right.
Because you have to understand that first there's the Battle of Marengo, where he beats literally the snot out of the Austrians, which were his number one competitor at the time, and that's what leads to the empire. That's what gives him the authority in most of Europe, is because of that. That's the peace. He literally conquers Italy very early, and then he takes on the Marengo takes on the Austrians and takes that huge portion from there, and continues to. And once he's secure enough in that, that's when he goes to Egypt, which of course is a quasi-British, not really a possession. It's kind of open territory. The Mamelukes run it, who are locals, and he defeats them rather easily. They were great warriors, and he begins to loot Egypt very quickly. As best
Battle of
he can.
Marengo is after that, according to Wikipedia.
Yeah, yes.
Right, but you just said you did all this Battle of Marengo, all this other stuff, and then felt secure enough to go to Egypt. I'm just correcting some history here.
Yeah,
Just saying that according to
all of this happens in the milieu.
I'm not going to give you that one just because I still think your timeline is wrong.
It might be because I'm having to do this without my notes.
And
I'm doing this from memory.
and to be fair, how much was there to loot in Egypt?
Because
after
the Brits have already been there,
after
yeah.
the British Museum was there.
Yeah, I mean the pyramids are in Egypt because they're too heavy to carry back to Britain.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting you say
And
that.
what time period was this that he went to Egypt?
This is
1797, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, they
Right.
still finding plenty more stuff in Egypt and
Well,
getting
the
into
Rosetta Stone
pyramids
comes
and
back
so
as
forth.
part of that. He's the
Yeah.
one that discovers that, and because he goes there, this goes back to that enlightened consul business that he wants to become. This emperor, this glorious, more than just a god of war. That's what he goes and sends in teams of scholars, basically, to not just steal, but also to uncover its treasures, its intellectual history and things like that. And it's at the Battle of the Nile, which I believe is 1799. Robert, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Sorry, I was had scrolled past that.
Yeah, which is when he really first comes into conflict with Britain, and that's when Lord Admiral Nelson, and if we remember the movie Master and Commander, they talk a little bit about that. He has this stunning victory.
Yes, 1799. Yeah.
Over the French, and to the point where Napoleon has to come back because he's there during all this time, and
Yes, he learned that France had suffered a series of defeats in the War of the Second Coalition. And fearing the Republic's future was in doubt, he took advantage of the temporary departure of British ships from French coastal ports and set sail for France, despite the fact he had received no explicit orders from Paris.
that's right, because this is slightly before he takes over.
Yep.
And also he discovers during this time that Josephine is having numerous affairs. So that's one of the yet another reason for him to come back.
Well, if she can't conceive, why not?
At this point, we don't know that, but yeah, she was a bit of a rounder herself. All
Did
of this,
she ever conceive with anybody else? I guess is the
she
question.
did. She had two children from her husband. her
So it
first
wasn't just her.
husband. At
But
least
something happened probably after that relationship, then
that is
most likely
that is
prevented her from
exactly.
conceiving.
A real man, though that's hard to say with Frenchmen.
That's
Excuse
true.
me.
uh,
We excuse you. Excuse me too.
Eventually, and I again, Robert, as Robert is reminding us, I'm kind of playing fast and loose with history here on my timeline, just to kind
Only because I only brought that up because we are publishing this. So
that is
you know.
correct. I want to make sure that I try to get this right. Thank you for fact checking me because I'm rolling and
Was not my intention. I just happened to be scrolling at that
happy,
point.
happy to have you do that because to make sure I get this in generally the speaking. 1803 is the Peace of Amiens. Basically, which is Napoleon needs time to bolster his gains, so he makes peace with Britain at that time.
Yeah.
Actually, March 1802.
Okay, all right, and that lasts for a little while. This gives him time.
But basically, at one point or another, right there in the early 1800s,
Yeah.
he's either an ally or has conquered almost all of continental Europe.
That is exactly where
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get to
I mean,
here.
he's got the Austrians are under heel, the Italians are taking over. Spain and Portugal are kind of in the orbit, especially Spain, and everybody else is pretty much on board. You kind of have the Russians, and then the Brits are sort of left.
That's right, and he does make peace with the Russians a little bit later. He never does with the British. The war by 1805. This is once he's crowned himself emperor.
Yeah.
Russia, Austria, Naples, and the Ottoman Empire joined in a coalition against France, and he goes after them. And that's when we get to that major, huge moment that is so well documented in the Ridley Scott book about the Battle of Austerlitz, which is considered to be his masterpiece because he takes on all of these and beats the absolute snot out of them. It is I don't have time to go into all the mechanics of it. I'd have to really work into my notes with regards to that. If you saw the movie, which nobody here has, but you may have seen the scene from Austerlitz, they compress this down into about 6-8 minutes. So it's really not they spend more time at Waterloo than they do at Austerlitz. But this is done in the wintertime, and the water there around Austerlitz is frozen, and Napoleon very cleverly retreats across this ice-flown lake, and when he's pursued, his waiting cannon absolutely just devastates the ice, and most of the Austrians die at that moment, a huge number of them. It's a little bit overly dramatic in the movie. It wasn't quite as big a deal as it was, but again, I wish I had time to go into more of that because that's what basically made him invincible.
So a modern version of Moses letting the Red Sea come back in on the
Absolutely.
enemies,
I think that's
basically.
a very
Absolutely, yeah.
That is
yeah.
a very good aphorism on that, and that's the place that that's why Abel Gance made the movie because the French people still see that as the moment of their glory.
So from a military strategy point of view, Napoleon definitely had something over on Hitler by making friends with the Russians instead of going against them.
That is correct. 'Cause
Well, at least at this point, yes.
at this point, that's what he does. He meets Tsar Alexander the First. They meet out on a lake. I forget exactly. Robert, you might want to check me exactly where this is at.
That's a lake thing going here.
Yeah, and they make peace.
And Hitler, he made friends with the Russians at first, and then betrayed them, just like Napoleon.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what happens. I mean,
yeah. So I mean, I guess there are some parallels there. Yeah. I mean, other than the genocide.
True.
right, yeah, because and some of this is because Napoleon wants to be seen as a legitimate royal personage, as an imperial personage. And Russia always has
Napoleon
this.
complex showing.
Well, that's where it all comes from. The Imperial Russia has been an empire since Peter the Great, and it is one of those areas where if you can get them to recognize you, then you're part of the club. That was part of what was
a very big piece of it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's a huge transformation too, from guardian of the Republic
Yes,
to no, my poop don't stink, just like all the rest of you royal types.
that's correct, and that's what he wanted. So, and he
Well,
gets,
he gets it because he forces his way into
he does.
it.
That's right. It's after Austerlitz, so that's when all this happens. Alexander the First of Russia is a very clever individual. He really is. He's the one. Other than him and his generals, in many respects, they're the ones that defeat Napoleon. This because
Well, he has some help from the weather.
Well, that's some of it, but we all think that it was the weather that did it. It was really because we're Westerners. We don't usually want to give Russians credit for anything. Read the novel War and Peace. Again, it was written by Russians, so you've got by Tolstoy, but it gives a different perspective on that.
You are not unencumbered with your own biases, sir.
Well, no, I'm doing my
No. As far as on the Russian side.
Oh, because of my book?
Yes.
Well, yeah, only because I've done the research.
I'm just saying.
The reason that
I'm just saying. Perhaps you look at things with
with a Russian bias.
with red colored glasses.
I wouldn't
Red,
think so.
red. You gotta get the,
I got that. That's right.
Now look.
I
Not
get
that you're a communist.
No.
I get it. Russians don't take a dump, son, without a plan.
Yes,
Thank you.
That doesn't always mean the plan's any good.
that is correct. This time it was. This is one of those times and that's one of those glory moments that just like Napoleon has Austerlitz, Russia has Borodino and Moscow.
So, but I think to Martin's point though, if this had been in July and not in the middle of Russian blizzard winter conditions, the outcome might have been a little bit different.
Well,
I
interesting.
mean, it's the same deal as Operation Sea Lion and Operation Barbarossa. If Hitler abandons Sea Lion and forgets about Britain and takes on Barbarossa earlier, the Russians are in deep doo-doo.
Yes.
Well, that was his intention.
Yeah, because he piddles around and piddles around and piddles around and doesn't realize he can't beat a floating aircraft carrier or a land-based aircraft carrier that is an island like Britain, and just goes ahead and invades Russia. It's a whole different thing. But because he piddled, then it all got pushed into October, November, and guess what? It's all completely impassable, and you're a sitting duck.
And you're equipped for summer weather, and you're not equipped for winter weather.
In this case, though, and this is the genius of the Russians on doing this. Napoleon did invade in plenty of time. He's early 1812. He's got this enormous armada that he goes in, and his intention is to take Russia long before winter. He does account for that, and he does. He burns. He gets to Moscow. He captures exactly what he wanted. The Russians have allowed him to take Moscow. They have evacuated the city, and they set it on fire.
Right. It's a Fabian strategy.
That's exactly right.
Fall back. Oh, guess what? Your supply lines are now
That is
so
exactly
extended.
Thank you.
We're going to
exactly.
kick your
And
ass.
by doing that, all that he had counted on, this enormous breadbasket that is Ukraine and all this area has been scorched.
Mm-hmm.
So now he has no choice but to retreat. And that's when the winter sets in, because his plan is to conquer, is to take over, is to make it all part of his and have all this, same as it was for Hitler. But because there's nothing left, they've all gone across the Volga, which is too far, too much. He can't go that far. And the Battle of Borodino takes place right before Moscow.
Just a note, okay.
Yes.
So about timing.
Yes,
He does not cross into Russia and Lithuania until the end of June.
that's right.
That's pretty darn late.
That's cutting it pretty close.
That's
yeah.
now, granted, he is outside of Moscow in early September,
Which was his plan. Yes,
but early September, it's starting to chill out.
You got 4 weeks.
I know, but you see, that's
yeah, you
but
got
he's
4 weeks. You got to get done.
but he's planning on going to ground. He's planning on staying there. He's planning on living off all the stuff that Russia has. They have taken that away from him. That's why he has to retreat.
That
And that's-
scorched earth policy.
That's
has been
exactly right. They were
a
the first
repeated
ones.
It's
thing
because it's
for-
the only plan they have.
That's right.
Well, that's the
it's
only plan
basic-
they ever used.
They had the ability to do that, though. And you're right. That's when the winter, which in 1812-13 was extremely harsh, as we know. He has no choice but to leave. And he was not prepared for that. You're right. They're prepared to come in, conquer, and take over. And there's nothing to. There's just a city of the dead.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to get out of here because we can't survive. There's no provisions.
Okay, so-
am I the only one seeing the modern connection here with Russia and Ukraine now? They just have a hold on for not letting go of Ukraine.
That's correct. It is the breadbasket of the former Soviet Union and most of Europe. It is very, very fertile area. That's why Hitler wanted it. That's part of the reason that Napoleon wanted it. Most of it is because I hate the Russians and I want it.
Well, Hitler wanted a lot of stuff for a lot of reasons.
That's right.
Yes, it was breadbasket. There's also oil there.
That's right. The
That was
Caucasus.
incredibly important because
Right.
obviously they don't have enough in France and Germany where there are oil wells.
Right.
And there was no place left to colonize.
Right.
So
Right, because they were late to the colony
Late-
game.
col-
Yeah.
clear out, and you could just colonize right next door.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier. Yeah.
So
But you're right. Putin, the Russians do well. It's interesting. One of the things that I read, this is some time ago, might have been when I was looking into the background on the Greats. The I think it's on Netflix about Catherine and Peter.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Funny show, love it.
Hilarious.
Horrible history, absolutely horrible history.
yeah.
But anyways, come to find out, actually, the Russians, the czars, they are not originally Russian. They're Ukrainian,
That's correct.
Mhm.
Yes.
which I find very interesting. That the whole Russian thing is like, well,
You talk about the Romanovs.
yeah, the Romanovs,
It's
yeah,
like-
they
this
are
is the last-
Ukrainians,
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right.
and so the whole creation of the Russian state is really Ukrainian,
Mhm.
which I find just so ironic.
But once you get into those imperial blendings, and that's when it kind of gets a little bit weird because so much of
Mhm.
different pieces of it were part of Russia, but not part of Russia, and under the influence and
Okay.
not. And it's again,
Well, pick us up at Borodino then. All right. So he's got to retreat. He's in a bad way. Got no supplies. Everybody's dying. He gets caught up to at Borodino,
uh
and so
actually Borodino was before Moscow. That was so he's gone and he's taken a whipping at Borodino, which allows everybody to get out.
oh, okay.
And,
So
and
this
that's
is
when he gets to Moscow.
yeah, this is the holding action that essentially
That's
allows.
essentially what it was.
for the
But he
Fabian
gets
strategy,
he gets his nose bloodied and his ass kicked at Borodino. And after that,
The Russians still lost more than he did, though.
that is correct, but they can afford to.
Russians
That's-
are big on throwing their people away. I mean,
That
it
is-
was
They are, yes,
it's
they always have
50
been.
million in World War II.
And the
something like
intention,
that?
and this is the marshal whose name is escaping me at the moment.
Mikhail Kutsov.
Kutsov, thank you. He's one of those military geniuses. A lot of this is his deal here. Now Alexander is part of that, but he's allowing Kutsov. Basically, what they're going to do is we're going to lead you out, bleed your supply lines down,
Mhm.
and as you lead back, we're going to harass you all the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's what happened. And
This is a great quote from Napoleon. I'm surprised you don't have this handy here. The most terrible of all my battles was the one before Moscow, which is Borodino.
that's right.
The French showed themselves worthy of victory, and the Russians worthy of being invincible.
That's right.
Mm.
That's great. It was a huge deal.
I presume that was made after he made it back to France. He said
Yeah,
that.
and they had to take him out in a sled. Basically, I don't remember the numbers. Robert, you might have that at your fingertips. but it was-
44,000 Russian, 35,000 French.
That's right, and it was an amazing, just a slaughter.
The bloodiest day to date in European military history.
That's right. It was. I mean, it was savage by all means.
And it's probably still top 10,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
if not top 5.
Borodino is one of those moments. It's not. I don't know if you guys know this, but I was gifted with. Maybe I told you all this. By my previous boss, she gave me for my birthday one year some great courses, and one of them was decisive battles throughout history.
Oh,
Which is very fascinating. I still have them. I listen to them occasionally. In the Napoleonic universe, because you got to figure, okay, which one do you pick? And they talk a little bit about why it's not Waterloo, why it's not Austerlitz, and it almost was Borodino, but in the end, they chose Leipzig, which takes place after this, because that's where he was finally defeated the first time.
Right.
Waterloo's almost a footnote.
So before we get to his defeat at Leibniz and all that, and getting kicked out, tell us about the continental system, though, because this
Now's
this
the
is
time
a
to talk
big
about it
piece,
because, and it's before he invades Moscow, because Moscow they're not, Russians are not.
right. I mean, that's the pretense is they're defying the continental system
That's exactly
and
right.
resuming trade with Britain.
And that well, you just nailed it. Continental system is essentially a way it is illegal for any British goods to enter into any territory that is either ours or that we have a treaty with.
Right. Right. Because
And
he's putting like brothers and cousins and stuff on the thrones of all kinds of places,
absolutely.
Sardinia, and just so
Spain.
yes,
yeah,
so everybody's some kind of tied to Bonaparte now.
Yeah, because he's got like I think 9 brothers, and it's just they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Which that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how he is determined. I will be not only royal but the best of the royals,
Yeah.
and you will recognize me. Those of you who are royals.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where this.
It's just kind of funny, the royals always say, "Oh, we can't mix with other people. You have to only marry other royals." It's like you're just
That's
a
not a
person.
good long-term strategy.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Well, he
just a
breaks
person,
through that.
dude.
He basically, by the point of the sword, he says, I know I am royal. I'm declaring myself so, and you better sign on. Now, I don't think they ever truly did, and in the end, they were able to repudiate anything they ever said
Right.
with regards to that. But you're right. The one enemy he could not take out was Britain, and it was because the Britons controlled the seas. So he's going, and he got his
It's awfully
ass.
hard to mount an invasion when you don't control the seas.
That's right, and he tried.
It's like today, if you don't have control of the air, you
Yeah.
can't.
That's right.
Can't do anything.
And believe me, he tries early on, but he gets his ass kicked at Trafalgar.
Yep.
And I haven't mentioned that yet, but that is really, in many respects, you might say the beginning of the end, because without that, without a
Really, you don't count being driven out of Russia as the beginning of the end?
no, that was part of the end. The
But
seeds were already laid at
yeah.
Trafalgar because
Oh.
Trafalgar
saying the
makes
beginning.
sure that he.
I haven't looked at
He's-
the dates. I thought you were saying Trafalgar was after.
oh no, Trafalgar was 1804, and that's when
Yeah, I mean that's what confines him to the continent.
That's right.
Really.
that's it, because all
But
of his
that's a
navy-
really big playground.
it is
It is.
it
but
is
but
he
it's-
doesn't own all of it. Like I
It's
say,
part of
Russia
the
is huge.
calculation of selling us Louisiana.
Right, he needed the
Is
money.
He needs the money, and there's nothing he can do about it if they take it anyway. So he might as well sell it.
That's
Right.
exactly right, and he needs it bad. And Trafalgar was
And he
shortly
gets
after
Spain
that.
to go. Yeah, he basically has to get Spain to give it to him to sell it. But
Yeah.
Spain's is they don't. There's nothing they can.
They're
do.
a satellite state at this point
Yeah.
anyway, and that's why Wellington and the alliance invades through Portugal and then through Spain.
Right, because Portugal wants it out from underneath, and there's nothing Napoleon can do about it
Right.
because he can't really get there.
Well, he has some serious firepower and armies there, and Wellington just wears them down over
Yeah,
time.
yeah, 'cause
He beats them
Yeah.
essentially because he's got some of his very best in the field down there to shore that up, and that was it's very similar to the way the Allies went into Italy first.
Yeah,
You have to go and find a spearhead, a beachhead, and Wellington provided a very good one in Portugal and in Spain. But Trafalgar itself, there was no hope when that happened because before Trafalgar, his navy was less than Britain's, but it was close.
it was good. Yeah, I
comparable.
mean he had solid.
He had solid stuff.
Solid
It
setup.
wasn't quite as big, but he knew they knew what they were doing. He had some very experienced officers, very experienced men. With enough money and time, he could have gone toe to toe with the British fleet. That was his intention. Trafalgar's changed all that.
But that's the thing. With enough money and time, anybody can do anything. That's a
Well, he saw it as a realistic thing. That's one of the reasons he.
yeah. But I don't think that was ever realistic.
I'll leave that to the hands of historians that are smarter than both of us. But that was his.
A lot of times historians are full of themselves and are smart or not as smart as they think.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying, British sea power, to be able to think that you could go from basically it's not zero, but comparatively zero to be able to defeat British sea power in the lifetime of this man, and we're talking about the professional lifetime, so we're talking a span of what, 20 years potentially, to be able to do that. That seems very unlikely to me.
Had Trafalgar gone the other way, he would have had a chance.
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If
because
the-
the pride of the British fleet. was
If
involved.
Chamberlain had lost at Little Round Top,
Sure.
things would have gone the other way. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. There are
No.
there are significant pinch points throughout this story where things could have were inevitable and things almost changed. Trafalgar was one of those moments things could have changed. In the end, I don't think Napoleon really had a chance there.
that's what I'm
he-
saying. Yeah.
He was his fleet, while highly professional, highly armed, and highly it just they weren't as good as the Brits. They just weren't.
Well, let's face it, you've got an island with the Brits. I mean, the sea is part of their livelihood. I mean, they couldn't get past and out of their island without being masters of the sea. I mean, that was an ingrained thing that they had to do.
They almost lost that during the war, during the Spanish Armada. That could have changed that.
Well,
But
yes,
since
but
then,
that was also a few centuries earlier.
That's correct. That's what put the seeds of having the mastery of the sea starts there, and continues forward.
Because you got to remember,
Yeah, I mean, that's going back to like our first episode.
it is, yeah. It's really going back.
we
And you
talked
got to
about
remember the
that.
difference between Britain in the time of the Spanish Armada and Britain here is Britain is now an empire.
That's right, and they have
And-
colonies everywhere.
And at the time of the Spanish Armada, they are just starting to think in those terms. Yes, they've started to send some colonies, some people over to the, thinking about getting people to the continental U.S., not the U.S., of course, but to the New World. And it's not really until they defeat the Spanish that really becomes possible. But you got to remember, prior to this, the only non-island concerns they had as far as territorial was in northern France.
That's right.
They only had to go across the channel.
Calais
They did not
and
need.
whatever else they could get. Yeah,
They did not need a seafaring
no, that's correct,
armada until the Spanish came,
and that's exactly right.
and the Spanish lost through a lot of bad luck and a lot of weather. Again, weather. You cannot control the weather.
Mhm.
Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it doesn't. But a lot of luck. I mean, it's like the Battle of Lepanto.
Yeah,
A lot of luck.
that's right.
Or a lot of intervention by the Blessed Virgin Mary, whichever line you choose to
Yeah.
take.
You're exactly right. Yeah,
Because there's a lot of rosary praying in all Catholic countries during that battle.
Lepanto is one we really ought to do an episode on.
We should, because that's a major European
That's right.
victory.
And it almost wasn't.
Right.
It
Oh yeah, they were outnumbered quite handily.
That's right. And that in that series I had, Lepanto was absolutely one of them, as is Trafalgar. It is mentioned as one of those turning points. Had it gone differently, everything would have been different.
Lepanto, for listeners who don't know, which if you're listening to us, how do you not? But anyways, it was the last one of the last high points of Ottoman incursions into Europe.
Right.
Certainly the last sea incursion.
Right. And
And if you didn't know, don't feel bad because I didn't either.
I would just presume that everybody knows.
all right, so, we've kind of come to a good pausing point. We've talked about the battles that he's fought. We've brought ourselves up to his defeat in Moscow, and on his way back after that. Let's take one of that. Robert, why don't you hit that button over there, and we take this pause.
Bourbon break.
We'll come back and we'll finish up the rest of the story, as it were. But now, what are you guys drinking here, boys?
Well, I'm trying the 47 out of log still, and I really like it. It's got a nice, smooth flavor.
Yeah, you cracked that.
Not a
you
whole lot of
cracked that bottle of
bite
Roberts.
to it. Yeah, he said go ahead and open it.
Yeah, listeners, I do not have the collection that Cajun does, but I'm sitting a little right at, I think, 51 bottles, give or take. And I've got about 17 or so that are open right now, plus another dozen or so that are on the bottom shelf. It's only, not top shelf as in this is the best stuff. It's just I'm waiting to try and clear some space. But that was in the anybody's free to try.
Yeah.
And I've had it for a little while. The 47 is the one that was in celebration of their distillery number,
Right, that they were able
Plus-
to get back.
plus whoever won the election in November of 2024.
Which a bottle was delivered up there to the White House.
Yes, and I'm sure it would have been
Well.
delivered to Kamala if she had won.
I don't know if they would have went that far. We all talking about Nelson County boys here now.
We are, but also, they sell to places outside of Nelson County, and you don't.
Log Still's a great place.
You try not to alienate people who you don't agree, who don't agree with you, because their money still spends.
But are they actually spending money on those products, those people?
Well, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But anyway, very
fair.
excellent, nice, smooth, good sipping bourbon.
Another well done for Wally then, basically.
Another one well done.
Right.
Yep.
I haven't.
I've not had a bad. I've never had a bad log still. The only one I wouldn't necessarily always pick up off a shelf was the Series 2 of the
Yeah, Fifth District.
Fifth District, yes.
Oh,
District,
okay.
Series 1 I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Series 2 I wasn't as impressed with. especially for the price at $100 a bottle.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a steep one.
We have most. I have most of the log steel products, but I haven't cracked most of them either. 47 I have yet to crack. Thank you. I forget who gave me the bottle. Yeah, it was Martin who gave me that for my big 6-0. It still is uncracked, and I got the Remington, which I know you gave me as well. So next time we're over at
Yeah, I've not
over
tried
at
Remington. I'd really like to try that.
Well-
We've already cracked a bottle of Remington, remember?
At
One
your
day when
place.
you was out at the ranch.
oh, that's right, we did.
We
Didn't
went through about half of it, yeah.
Oh, must be a good bourbon.
Must be why I don't remember it too.
Because I just picked up a second bottle of it the
Okay,
other day
yeah,
when I was
that's
up
right.
there.
I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
cracked mine yet, but we haven't featured it on the show. I do know that.
No,
so
no.
We
That was
need
just
to-
the day you was out and we were
That's right.
rambling around the ranch.
That's right. Well, next time we try that, I want to. That's one that definitely needs to be done. But again, 47 sounds like it's a good one. I'll have to try this one here.
Very good
soon.
sipping. Nice, easy, smooth, relaxing.
What kind of flavors you getting out of that?
Oh, some fruity notes, a little citrus. It kind of reminds me a lot of the Evan Williams that I like.
Oh, the small
1786.
batch.
Yeah, the
Okay.
small batch.
Okay. Okay.
Very nice, very nice.
I had a little bit of that the other night. That's one of the bottles that I'm slowly working.
I
my way
saw
down.
that.
Yeah, that's right. That's
I had to resist reaching up for that one since that's my normal.
Right. There's no point in drinking that here. You can drink that at home anytime.
Absolutely.
That's
yeah.
right.
Robert, what you got?
I poured a bottle of the original Faithfully Crafted.
Right,
In
yeah.
the blue label.
Trinity blend.
Trinity blend. Yes, thank you. You know, I think as Martin commented that it still had quite a bit left in that bottle. I have been very slowly going through this bottle because it is so good. I don't want it to run out.
Yeah, I
too
mean,
soon.
I had quite a bit until Bjorn stormed through at Christmas.
Yes, you need to hide your good stuff when Bjorn comes home. You really do.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
no, what
I-
you
I
do
don't
is you
mind
buy
sh-
some of the cheap stuff and make sure it stays out as a distract.
I don't mind sharing it with him, but he did consume the whole rest of it that I had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Indiana's done the same thing. I've got some of my good stuff, as you all know, is upstairs where he inhabits.
Ah, yes.
And I've got that really nice set of tumblers up there that's got that I find them hither and non in his area when I walk up that way that he's slipped into. So
Yes,
I
yes.
told him, I said, just don't crack something. Drink anything you want, but if it's not cracked, find something else.
Right, right. Because you never know what you might be saving for. You know.
That is correct.
Yes.
That's right. He's been
But anyways, you know, this like Cajun said, very smooth drinker. You know, this is has a kind of a traditional bourbon flavor in the sense you get a lot of the caramel creaminess, which is my favorite kind of
Yeah.
flavor profile.
Yep.
And the flavor lasts. A good deal of the spherical ice has melted, but it's certainly thinner looking, but I'm still getting a good amount of flavor out of it, which is always a good sign.
Yep. So another successful log steel product.
Yep.
What about
So-
you, Martin?
I have poured. This is one I don't think I've ever had. Bardstown Bourbon Company Origin Series Wheated Bourbon. So no rye at all. The mash bill is corn and wheat, and
Malted barley should be.
yeah, malted barley. That's always your distillation starter. Is your malted barley. This is pretty good. That went down real nice and smooth.
I think it's a 6-year,
Yes,
maybe a
it
little
is.
more.
It's a
It's a
6-year,
blend too, if I'm not
106
mistaken.
proof. So
It could be.
I want to say everything that Bardstown
everything
Bourbon-
they do, I
Yeah.
believe,
blend.
is
But
blended.
really, all that means is that they distill a bunch, and then when they bottle it, they just put all the barrels together.
Yeah, there's no like a,
It's not like there's going to be a
Yeah.
huge difference from year to
yeah, it's
from
not
barrel
a
to barrel.
not a
And
single.
they don't want it to
barrel
be.
or-
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
They want
small
it
batch or
consistent.
single barrel type.
Right. It's it's one of the things that I appreciate about a distillery like Woodford. That when you buy a bottle of Woodford, there's going to be very little variance from the Woodford you've had before, and that's partially because they take all the stuff they barrel and they put it all together and then they bottle it.
Yeah.
So that you get a very consistent flavor.
Well, it goes back to the same understanding as Ray Kroc did with McDonald's. When you buy a Big Mac, it should taste the same here as it does anywhere else.
Consistency.
Yep.
Consistency. That was
But
a
yeah,
model
the
for them.
Faithfully, it's pretty much all gone at the moment. If you go out to Log Steel, if you buy a bottle of their new release, which we'll talk about, I think, during our next episode,
Yep.
they still have a few bottles of Faithfully left that if you buy one of the new releases, if you ask, you may be able to still get one of those. Of course, I stocked up with a full case way back when.
And I appreciate that because you brought me a bottle of the Faithfully Crafted.
I did.
The-
Actually, I got 2 extra bottles of the Faithfully since the person that was there that day I happened to have went to high school with
Nice.
in grade school.
Yeah. Hey,
Could I have 2?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we had
Or maybe it was just my nice Cajun accent.
Well, you're a very charming fellow.
Yes.
Don't tell people that.
Oh, if they haven't figured that out by now, I mean, you're gruff, but you're still charming.
that's
I mean, I
right,
still wouldn't get on your
I mean,
lawn or anything.
He's like Gimli, you know.
Yeah.
You want to just hug him, even though he's kind of this gruff, bearded, wild man.
with an axe.
And I'm the shortest one here, too. I see where you're going with that. But remember, I carry a big blade.
Just like Gimli does.
Yeah,
That's right.
big axe.
That's right.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I'm the last one left. I went ahead and took some of your Knob Creek, the 12-year Knob
The 12-year, yes.
that you had out there. I hadn't had one that long. I usually drink the 9-year, which is fine. It's good.
Yeah.
Far smoother than I realized. Now I let it bloom longer than perhaps I should have, but there's still plenty of ice that hasn't melted yet. It's got a very smooth vanilla, is what I'm picking up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I told you guys about the guy who's our sacristan at Mother Sorrows that works at a bottling line at Jim Beam. And he was telling us about he brought a bottle of the 18-year to one of the gatherings at Father's place, and
Nice.
it was very nice. He's also the one introduced us to the Winter Reserve from Jim Beam.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Anyways.
you have that out there.
Yes,
saw
I
that,
do.
yeah.
There's still some out there. But also at the fish fry last night, because I was working, me and a guy I used to work with at the place I'm currently at SVS. He was there. He goes to the 4 o'clock. And so we were the guys dishing out food all night long, just the 2 of us. But anyways, guy comes up and he's wearing a Knob Creek shirt. And I said, oh, very nice. That's a good bourbon. Apparently, he's the guy that has some kind of oversight for the single barrel project for Knob Creek. And
So we're making connections on the side here?
yes, we are. So there was talk about a bottle of bourbon making its way into my hands. Hopefully he will remember. But there's another
see.
possibility there.
Well, speaking of Knob Creek, I was lucky enough to find a bottle of the 21-year-old in the wild the other day.
Saw it at Kroger's myself. Yeah,
What was the price there?
like $2.50, $2.60.
Oh, that was even less than I paid for it, and I was happy to pay a little over $3
Oh wow!
because I've got the 9, the 12, I got 2 bottles of the 18, so I couldn't pass up the 21 just to kind of finish out the number line.
Where'd you buy it?
Wines and More out in St. Matthews area.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Total Wine. Yeah.
So which Kroger's is that?
Right around the corner here.
I wonder if they still have it.
Probably because the high price stuff takes a while,
Because
and
if
they
I
had more
could
than
get
one bottle.
for that price, we just might be tasting that the next go around.
You won't hear me complain.
Yeah. They had it, and this is just like a week or so ago, so it was really recent. Well, it was right after you talked about it.
Fascinating.
Mm.
So it's Southside and New Cut.
We could have to conduct business anyway. I might just have to give you something. Have you gone around there quick before we head over
Sure.
this afternoon, since you know exactly where it's at and get there faster than I can.
It's really me. I mean, you could walk to it faster if there wasn't the big ditch and the railroad tracks and other stuff in between the drive. Because I mean, it's literally like right over there.
Yeah, I'd be willing to make that investment to open a bottle for the Brotherhood.
We appreciate that, sir.
I'm just using y'all as an excuse to justify it to the missus at home, of course.
That's
There you
true.
go,
That's
there you
true.
go.
Sounds good.
So,
So
Francis, I want to put you on the spot here.
again,
Okay.
Okay. We, of course, need to do a tribute to someone we are all huge fans of. So I want to put you on the spot and ask you to do your favorite Robert Duvall line.
Oh, it ain't dying I'm talking about, it's living.
There you go.
Going to be from Lonesome Dove. I could give you about 10 others, and Cajun could too, but that's one of the very
Here's to the
Only
sunny
10?
slopes of long ago.
Oh, no, not much. Here's to the sunny slopes of long ago. That's right. That's another one that we use quite often. Lonesome Dove, as you all know, is one of my favorites, one of Cajun's favorites for sure.
And the other one, where he's talking, call about fun. You don't know how to have fun.
Okay. Fun is my department. Now
Hey.
that you're back, I'm going to go scare me up some of it.
Yeah, you go.
oh nice, I like that.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we lost Robert Duvall
That's
recently.
right. An amazing. There's been so much of an
He's so
outpouring.
authentic. So authentic.
Yeah, an outpouring of adulation for the man and respect for the work that he done. I mean,
Even by other actors, I mean, they respected him so highly in
Yeah,
his
that's
right.
craft
He was
and
one of
learned
the, one
from
of
him.
the most greatest crafty guys, as in not crafty, but
Of his craft,
of the
master
craft.
of his craft.
That's correct. He was so professional.
As opposed to his domain.
Right.
Oh, they might have mastered
I
that
think
too.
he was a master of his domain too. You seen his wife and her age?
No, I
Yeah,
haven't.
she's like 27 years younger than him.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Perhaps more
he
than
lived
that.
in North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken.
Virginia.
Virginia, that's it.
He was
that's it.
in Virginia. They had a ranch out
They
there,
had
a
ranch, yeah,
small
and,
farm or
he'd
so
been,
forth.
he'd been
horses.
semi-retired for a while now.
And you know that actually fits his the way he comes off, because he comes off as so down to earth and genuine.
well, he was known.
And everybody said that about him.
He was known to go into the local bar and have a beer and hang out out there.
See, in Virginia, especially if you're in a rural area,
Yeah.
you can get away with that.
Absolutely, and everybody
Is-
knew who he was. It's just
Yeah.
it's great. But
But you know, as long as you don't put on airs, they'll accept you.
and he was very much that down to earth kind of guy.
I mean,
And I've seen
Lonesome Dove will always be it for me. To me, that was his crowning achievement. The
and it
role
was to him
perfect
too. He
for.
considered it to be his greatest role. He said he was very much a privilege to play that part. He said it was at least as good as Hamlet, which is high praise. That he's
Which
done.
they knocked on his door to play Carl first, not Gus.
They did. That's
and
correct.
he said that one doesn't fit me.
That's and he's right. I mean, he so much of the work that he did there, and some of that he would channel that character in many ways. He did two very good westerns after that.
Open range.
Open Range and
Oh, yes, that was very
and
good.
Broken Trail, which is not the same character, but it is very similar.
I did not see that one.
Broken Trail was on, I think it was a TNT miniseries that was done in the early 2000s. But it's since he's passed, there's been a lot of evaluation of his body of work, and that one always makes top 5. Believe it or not,
I'll have to look that up.
you should. It was a two-parter. It was very much worth it. I know you've seen it.
Yes, oh yes. And of course, a little trivia there with Lonesome Dove. It was originally written as a script and so forth for John Wayne and a few others.
John Wayne.
And it had trouble getting made. And I love John Wayne. I will bow at his feet any day of the week and drink bourbon while I'm watching him with an almost giddy orgasm in mind. But I am glad that he did not make it and that it went.
It was designed as a vehicle for him to be Call, and for Henry Fonda to be Jake
Gus.
Spoon, and Jimmy Stewart
Jimmy Stewart to be Gus, yeah.
to be Gus. But it was a screenplay, and it got rejected, and Larry McMurtry ended up shelving it and converting it into a novel and winning the Pulitzer Prize. And
Okay, so
And
the novel
2-hour
came
movie
after
would
the
have been
original.
too
Okay.
short for that anyway.
That's right, and of course, and the novel was such a huge hit. Like I say, it's considered to be one of the greatest American epics ever. So that's when the rights came out in the '80s, and they ended up going for the TV miniseries route. And I'm glad that they did, because it gave you 8 hours, essentially, to do this enormous. It's an odyssey. I mean, we could talk a long time about Lonesome Dove. I have on occasion, and we probably still will. But I know that's
Like
not,
there's any stopping you.
no,
Well,
not
of
a
course,
damn-
his role with Eastwood, Kid,
Well, that's correct. That's right.
was
Yeah.
great. And the car stealing movie, Nicolas Cage,
Gone in 60 seconds.
Gone in 60 Seconds. He was
Oh,
great
yes.
in that too, as the old
Oh,
guy. in
his
that.
his body of work is enormous. His actual first work was To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh,
He
really?
played Bo in that. That was his first.
Lou Radley and
Yep,
Kill a
that's right.
Mockingbird.
Dude, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
He had a small part as a taxi driver in Bullet with Steve McQueen.
Uh-huh.
Just a little small part.
He did some TV in the '60s. He
Yeah.
did a Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea episode. that nobody
Multitude
remembers.
of work, multitude. Of,
Yeah.
No, I never could get into The Preacher. I've tried to
Oh,
watch that a time or two, and
The
I just
Apostle,
could not.
yeah.
The Apostle.
It
that
was
it.
it
where
was
he
his passion
playing a
project.
preacher.
It was
Yeah.
very different for whatever reason. That's one of the ones that he wanted to do. I've been, you get the lists online about the greatest roles Robert Duvall ever did. Lonesome Dove actually comes in at 3, not 1.
Apocalypse Now.
Well,
Apocalypse
see,
Now,
for me, that
comes in as
the
number
thing
2.
That shows is
Well, we're quoting Lonesome Dove. Martin's over there quoting Apocalypse
that
Now.
1973 is The Godfather. It's Tom Hagen.
That came in as number
Yeah,
1.
You know, the
Godfather 2.
He was,
in
in
both.
one
He
and
was
two.
in both.
He's
Oh,
was he
and
in
two.
one?
He was
Okay.
in 1.
More
that's right.
prominent in 2 than was it?
About
No,
the same.
yeah, about the
Okay.
same. It's in 1. He's Sonny's best friend, who's adopted into the family. The backstory being he's like a street urchin that kind of took
that
up.
Vito brings in and
They-
raises
yeah,
together
raise
with his
And so
son.
he's kind of becomes this advisor to the family. They send him to law school to make him appear legitimate and all that. That's the backstory. But to go from that part as Tom Hagen is kind of has to be this sort of buttoned up guy, this sort of I've got to convince Sonny it's not personal, it's just business, Sonny.
That's one of the famous lines.
You know, the old man's political protection will run for cover. This is business, Sonny.
Yeah.
And then it's 5 years later, I guess, or 4 years later.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's not released until 79, but it's made in like 77, 78 is Apocalypse Now. And he's Goofy Foot Bill Kilgore, the surfing colonel of the Air Cav, you know.
In a very small role, actually, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of the ones that's mostly remembered.
It's
And an unforgettable line, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's so startling a transformation from Tom Hagen to Bill Kilgore that it's like, this dude can do anything.
and that's
This is a role as like, holy cow, this kind of tall, fair-haired, sort of balding dude is like, whatever role you can think of, he can handle it.
But now, in all fairness, there's
Amazing.
been some other ones we need to mention in memoriam too. Robert Carradine,
Yep.
unfortunately, very sad
Everybody's favorite nerd.
occurrence.
I've not seen what his cause of death was, but
Suicide.
I've seen that
He dealt
mention
with
of
bipolar and several
mental
other
illness
things
in
over
link.
the years.
yes, but I'd
Oh,
not
but
seen
he-
that it
yeah,
was
but Keith
confirmed.
Carradine committed suicide as well. Too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Keith Carradine.
Yeah. So it runs. I mean, that stuff usually runs in the family.
correct.
The
too.
mental illness, not
Yeah.
necessarily the
Neil
suicide.
Sedaka just yesterday.
Saw that, yes.
Who else? There's two others in there around Robert Duvall's time.
We mentioned Sal Buscema the last episode,
We
but
did, yeah. But
Robert Carradine and Neil
there was
Sedaka
another
started the
actor.
next three. Like my
Oh.
mom always said, it comes in threes.
there's an actress.
Yeah, there was an actor from The Wire who died in a barn fire at his home this week, and I cannot recall his name. But The Wire, of course, very well regarded.
Oh,
Television
Dawson's
show.
Creek fellow that had
Oh
cancer.
yeah. James Van Der
James
Beek.
Vanderbeek.
that's the one.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
he
one.
passed from cancer.
Eric Dane.
And Eric
And Eric
Dane.
Dane
from
I loved him in The Last Ship.
Oh, me too. That's where I first encountered him because I was not a Grey's Anatomy.
I'm not sure where Brother Andre said the first season was good and none of the rest maybe got too political or something there. I don't know.
I think
'Cause
it-
did kind of did after the
It did
first
get a
season.
little.
But I still think he did excellent throughout the entire
Oh, yeah.
series.
He was a good actor. He in a lot of ways he reminds me of Anson Mount.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
very much so. And he
favorite
was
guys.
just on, what show was he just on where it centered around his ALS, I believe it was?
Yes.
Well, I know he was on Euphoria.
No, this was just within the last few weeks. He actually kind of
Oh, I don't
made
know. I didn't
himself,
see that.
not he was a fireman that had gotten it, what he has. And was it The Pit?
No,
No, not
we watched The Pit religiously. He was not in that.
Yeah, the wife watches that.
Was
I
it one of the
didn't
911 maybe? National 911?
We watched both of those and have not seen him on that. But
It was on one of the medical shows.
Maybe like the Chicago Med or Chicago Fire.
Okay.
It's not ringing the bell either. Well, but he did an excellent job here. I think that was his last role, kind of playing himself or what he's dealing with, basically.
he was always a good watch. You know,
yeah, well, let's raise
So,
our glasses.
Yeah, we've had
metaphorically or
we've had
otherwise.
several of them passing here.
I finished all my bourbon. I can't.
Like everybody always says, you're getting older when you got more funerals and weddings.
That's right. Here's some
Ain't that the
Sunday
You're
truth?
here
service
to some
long
great
ago.
people
That's right.
that
to all
gave
these
us great
folks.
entertainment.
That's right. I'm like Robert. I've drank all mine, so I'm gonna have to make mine metaphorical.
Yes.
As we
Damn, I'm drinking the slowest these days. My goodness, the world has went topsy-turvy. I'm still not sure I'm back to my dimension.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure
Yeah.
you are either. Sliders, but we could talk about sliders
Exactly.
for a long time.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
we ought to do one of those. I think. On the
Yeah,
side.
because several of us really like that show.
Well, I mean, I've got in mind for us to do a other science fiction shows, and we can kind of put them all together about.
Yeah.
good
I mean,
stuff.
Sliders was a great concept.
You know, we've
Really
never
is.
done X Files.
That's correct.
Ooh,
There's
love
so
X-Files
many
back in
I
the
did not.
day.
Yeah, I never really watched a whole lot
I
of
thought
it.
they kind of drew it out a little too long
Too
on
long,
the
but-
mystery, but overall, that
I
was
think
a
we're
great
gonna make-
show.
I always loved all the Monster of the Week style episodes. I was just talking to Mrs. Martin about those.
Well, Voyage to
she
the Bottom of the Sea was
loved
famous
the
for that.
X-Files.
Yeah.
Lost in Space for a long time did a lot of that. So it
Danger,
was-
Will Robinson. Danger, Will Robinson.
Oh yeah, so we could do a long time on that. But let's get back to this one here. We'll talk about we'll tease you all for a few other things later.
All right, so
Let's finish this
he's
up.
gotten clobbered at Trafalgar. He's gotten clobbered at Borodino. He's on his way.
Oh.
So Leipzig, we're at Leipzig.
Leipzig is basically his second to the last clobbering, and that's when the wolves all come in. That's when the Austrians, the Russians, the British, and all the rest of them come in, and they sense basically that he's weak. And that's his opportunity to push back and to retain control of his empire.
Quick note back to Eric Dane's last show was Brilliant Minds.
Okay,
It was
there you
on
go.
Brilliant Minds. Which
Okay.
That's an excellent show. if you
I've
ever
not
saw
seen
it.
that one.
Okay,
that is.
gotcha. I didn't see it. That's why we
Just had to toss that in. I hate unanswered questions that can
All
need to be looked
All right.
up.
Well, I mean, you fit in with the rest of us, so
Right.
yeah.
But
blame ya.
Leipzig is the moment where basically they go in and they utterly annihilate him. He never recovered. He almost did at Waterloo, but he never really recovered that zing, that special secret sauce or whatever. He literally just lost too many men with Moscow. You couldn't replace them that quickly. He just didn't have the time, didn't have the professionalism.
You need veterans to.
That's correct, and he lost most of them there.
I'm
So-
amazed the Emperor let Secret Sauce slide by so
I had
easily.
to.
Yeah. For whatever reason, Leipzig is the one, and from there he goes back. He tries to bolster in France. I mean, he literally just they follow him all the way back to the gates of Paris. And
Well,
then-
he did win a series of victories. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not like it was all downhill from Leipzig.
that is correct That's
Because
right.
he basically forced, with those series of victories, even with his diminished forces, a peace offering,
Mhm.
which he stupidly rejected
That's right, because they could.
because his ego got in the way.
That's right. He thought that we will come back again, and by the time
He's
they-
like McClellan.
Yeah.
He kept bringing himself to the party,
that's right, which was a strength up to this point, but after Moscow,
which is interesting because McClellan is Little Mac.
the
Had the Napoleon
of the-
complex of
yeah,
his
that's
own.
right.
But anyways,
But eventually, sooner or later, they make their way in all. the way into
eventually
Paris.
there's only so much he can lose. Yeah,
That's right, and he comes back, and basically they impose a treaty. They basically make a deal with all his marshals. You will abdicate,
Yeah.
and
So
France
this-
will go
this
back to
is
her original
the-
borders. Will restore the Bourbon
Yeah.
king, which at this point is Louis XVI brother. Becomes Louis XVIII.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so then this is the exile to Elba.
That's right.
the first one.
Exactly, where he goes with 1,000 men, and he's able to be the king, for lack of a better term, ruler of this island nation. They allow him that, and he remakes a lot of the civilian government. He goes back and does all this stuff here, but it's just not good enough. He doesn't really care.
It's not France.
That's right.
Mhm.
It's just they're going to let him do it, and hopefully that's where it was. They say in the movie Waterloo they call it an honorable exile, and it was. They gave him a lot more. They could have put him in chains.
Well, they should have executed him.
Yeah,
I mean, when you think about the time, that would have been the most likely thing to happen.
yeah.
Is you execute the guy that has basically
but-
run rampant and raped Europe.
But
For
he
10
is
years.
so beloved in France, and they want France calm. They do not want you to. They don't want somebody else to make him a martyr and come back again.
Yeah, that's an important piece. Is
That's right.
don't make martyrs.
That's right. They then because eventually it happens anyway with Napoleon III.
Yeah.
Which is his nephew. But they allow him to go there, and things don't go well in France while he's gone.
Well, I mean, you're putting the monarchy back in place, which we've already seen was a failure to begin with. That's what started all this crap.
And Louis XVIII was a bit of a dunderhead. He tries to basically undo all the good things that Napoleon had done, the gains that the revolution had brought. They got used to that stuff, these freedoms, and now we're going back. And he was very quickly. Napoleon gets wind of this and decides, maybe now is my time.
So like every 8 years here almost sometimes.
There's something to be said.
Something like that, yes.
Mm.
So basically, with a little bit of help, he escapes from Elba along with his 1,000 men, lands in France. The king sends men after him, and he immediately makes them part of his.
Yeah, they all switch sides.
That's right.
So this
Marshal
is-
Ney is the one that.
This is called the
well,
100 Days, right?
He had
100 days.
testicles because
Yeah.
they find him. The two groups meet,
Yep.
and he basically says, "Here's your emperor. Kill me if you wish."
That's right, and they don't.
And they don't.
They all
So,
join him.
yes.
That's right. He knew his men. He knew the glory that he himself embodied. Wellington always said,
What's French for cojones?
Good question. Somebody.
Well, I
look that
mean,
up.
a Romance language has got to be pretty close.
It probably is.
It's
Yes.
probably, yes.
Yeah. So but he also that force of personality is something that just could not be understated, and he takes back control. But the Allies will have nothing of this.
Yeah.
They know at this point. Wellington happened to be on the continent at the time at a peace conference and with other leaders in the alliance, and they rallied very quickly to put together the forces that they did. It was mostly the British, Brunswickers, Belgians, and many others, as well as the Prussians, who absolutely positively hated the French. Gebhard Blucher was their
Yeah, but
marshal.
I mean, when you get to Waterloo, the Prussians were attached late to the party.
They were.
It was pretty much a British show.
It was Wellington won that battle, no question. They just Blucher was very helpful.
Yeah, Blucher was kind of on the flank and trying to, you know.
Oh, to answer your question, I'm not going to try to pronounce French, but Coullion.
Couillon. All right.
Cojones.
Okay, we'll
Basically.
stick with the Spanish.
Basically.
Okay. But Waterloo was one of those moments that, had it gone differently, it would probably have delayed things. But ultimately, I don't think it was.
Yeah, by this
there
time,
would have been another one.
Yeah, there'd been something else. But
And
this,
just like the
this-
fickle French, when he gets to France, he realizes, oh heck, nobody likes me anymore.
Yeah.
And he abdicates.
That's right. Yeah, and he ends up taking a refuge aboard the British ship Bellerophon. And that's when he tries to come to America. I don't know if you all realize that. It's one of
Yes.
those little pieces. He wanted to.
And we thought seriously about it.
we thought seriously about
But
it.
we
yeah.
thought we also didn't want him running around loose in our country.
That's right. Because they had a plan for him. There was a place in Alabama that he was going to go to. That he had all worked out on that, but he couldn't get out. If he had been able to get out of France on a ship, that might have happened. But the British had it all bottled
It would
up.
have been
Sounds to
interesting.
me like you want the Louisiana Purchase back.
Well,
He's
that's
coming on the
basically
ground
it.
to do it.
That's exactly what he's trying to do. He says, "Hey, this was once ours. Let me in. Hey, I gave you a good deal. One good deal deserves another." I don't think it would have changed history that much, but it certainly might have changed American history, at least not
Well,
not
I mean,
significantly, but
yeah,
it would have been a very interesting.
It would have
thing.
been interesting, but he just ended up in a house in New Orleans hanging out. Hey, I'm important. I'm special. Let's go play some music.
Yeah, he would have been hanging out in
Eat
New
some
Orleans
crawfish.
whorehouses or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean that would all
exactly.
it would have been.
And you got to remember,
Nothing to it.
this would have been post Battle of New Orleans.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Battle of New Orleans cemented American identity. This is, we've not talked a whole lot about this.
Right.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
talked
yeah.
a little bit about it when we did the Jacksonian episode.
Yeah.
But even though there's a strong French presence there, they were
Still American.
solidly American after the Battle of New Orleans.
That's correct. That's right. So he would have not. Would he have been had influence? He would have been an oddity and had been
He would have had influence, I think. He could have been one of those grandees who had a plantation, but that was about it.
That's
Nobody's
exactly.
lining up to go.
To fight for him, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
fight
No,
for
not
him.
fight for him, but he could have consulted. I mean, he wasn't exactly an idiot with stratagem.
No.
So he could have been a consultant on.
Perhaps it depends on if he lived long enough. I do believe because he sent the British at this point, who are really running things. They're not the only ones, but they're the ones that have the ships and the ability to get him out of here, more so than anybody
Yeah,
else.
because he does not really survive long after the exile to St. Helena.
Correct. St. Helena is a rock in the middle of the freaking Atlantic Ocean. You can't.
Oh, they learned a thing or two.
Oh, they did. There's no way to get there. There's no way to get out of there. It's a British protectorate. They sent him literally out there. You weren't allowed to land. Nobody was able to go. There's no trade routes through there, like there was in Elba, which is in the Mediterranean. Lots of folks would want to go there.
Yeah, I mean, you really got to go out of your way to get to St. Helena.
And that's why they put him there. And the place is infested with rats and with mosquitoes. And they do believe he lives. I think it's 6 years. It has in 1821. And becomes a shell of his former self. Some of this is because he's truly defeated, but a lot of it is because of the
He's-
environment that he's put
he's
in.
got-
It's unhealthy.
It's possible he's got like stomach cancer or something too, right?
That's what they're thinking about. That there's
I thought they
Malaria?
said he died of the arsenic poison.
that's another theory on that. And there was some of that but it wasn't as a poison as to kill him. It was an attempt to mitigate some of his circumstances. They didn't quite understand arsenic at that time.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a controversy
It's-
around
Yeah,
that.
I didn't necessarily
Yeah.
mean that he was
He was
directly
murdered.
poisoned, because like arsenic is in
Used as a medicine at that time in some degree.
well, it's also in potato skins when you depending on whether you deep fry potatoes, which is you shouldn't do with potato skins,
Yeah.
because there's trace levels of arsenic there.
That's right. So there's all
Maybe he was making too many French fries
Mm.
the
without
wondered-
peeling them.
But yeah, I mean, it's a crappy place to live. It's endemic with diseases. There's no telling what all is going on with him.
Yeah, and he's not allowed. He's writing. He has no memoirs. They won't let him write it. But he's telling stories to the governor's children who live there with him. He's not allowed military uniforms. He's dressed in civilian clothes all the time. That was one of my few complaints about the Ridley Scott movie. They show him on St. Helena at the end wearing a military uniform and saying, "Dude, you should know better than that." But anyway, it was an ignominious end to he. But it was probably a very fitting one too, because he dies essentially in obscurity. The world moved on without him.
Yeah.
And even though his body was eventually brought back to France, and it's got a lavish tomb in Paris. You can go visit it. I have not. I've not been there, but
It's interesting that essentially everything goes back to status quo ante, though.
it does.
I
That's,
mean, a lot of the progress that he forcibly imposed really didn't last.
nope.
Well, that's the thing though about there's no Napoleon without a revolution first.
That's right.
Right.
And the revolution, and really there are multiple revolutions, because
Yeah.
there's multiple groups that control France in that decade before
Right.
he takes over. And honestly, between the pure insanity of the French Revolution and leading up to Napoleon, and then the not anarchy, but just the sheer busyness and calamities and highs and lows, I think it's inevitable that it goes back to what is essentially the antique. I mean, there's probably some
Yeah.
differences, and certainly the monarchy is weaker than it was,
Right.
but people are just tired.
Yeah.
You
But I
go
mean,
back
yeah.
to the last thing you know that provided security and peace.
Yeah.
Although a lot had changed, I don't want to paint the picture that
No, it's not an exact
Yeah, I
return.
mean, revolution across Europe's not going away, as we see later. But basically, 1815 and the Congress of Vienna is an attempt to basically solidify the monarchy as an institution across Europe.
which has meh effects as you
Right. Yeah, I mean, you have the
socially the
Right,
changes.
You have yet another revolution in the 1830s in France, sort of. You have another one all across Europe in 1848. You have all this stuff going. But that's, the French come to the table in 1815 with this idea that, we're probably going to get eviscerated. But what's his name? Talleyrand
Uh-huh.
basically steps in and says, "Look, you guys, you've already beat us. Why don't you just kind of let us be?"
That's right.
And they sort of do.
Well,
Just
th-
to,
because
just
they
to
Well,
need
because
put
they're
back-
tired too.
Yeah,
right.
just to
We need a
kinda
stable France.
put
We
back
need somebody
stability.
that
Right,
yeah,
right,
exactly. So
right.
we'll let you keep some things. Again, it's got to be. One of the things that I think is fascinating about all this is the genie really can't socially, culturally. The genie can't go back in the bottle.
Right.
Politically, they try, and they do
Exactly,
have
that's-
some limited success with
Yeah.
that. But by the time, in just 15, 16 years, you've got Louis Philippe, as they will not allow him to call himself as King of France, but he must be called King of the French. Things had changed that much within France itself,
Yeah.
where the Bourbons come back, and then you've got you bring back Louis XVIII, which was a disaster. Then you have Charles X, who was meh, and he abdicates. Everything's changed.
So if you can't say King of France, but King of the French,
King of the
people,
French, that's
basically the
correct.
French. I mean, how much power does he really have as
That is
far
exactly
as government
it.
goes?
Not much.
I mean, it kind
This
of
is
sounds like the British monarchy here.
It is
in
correct.
later
They
years,
are
more of a
attempting to bring
figurehead.
in, they are attempting to
This
co-
is our royalty.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about that before.
yeah, they're attempting to
so
format a constitutional monarchy, but they don't really know how just yet.
well, and the British are not yet a good example of that. But
Exactly.
No, not that
the-
time.
The Brits, it's interesting. The French or the English king has a great deal more power on paper than they actually exercise. I would love it if Charles or his son would get a bug up their butt to see what would happen. Because theoretically, the British monarch, and we've talked about this on the show, and I've brought this up specifically, could dissolve Parliament.
Yeah.
And has from
Well, yes, but again,
he's asking somebody else to go in.
there
his
has
place.
to have been a vote of no confidence.
That's right.
And,
there's
because because the British Prime Minister has to not exactly be chosen by the monarch, but there's reality there. If they can't build a coalition, then you don't want them as your prime minister anyways.
right.
But there's still other things they could do, and I kind of wish, just because I want to see the political theater, because I don't have enough political theater in this country.
Oh no.
Of course not.
But of course, they don't want a whole lot more spotlight on them right now either. Between
That's
the
true.
young prince and the old guy now, kind of hauled off to jail.
Well, he's no longer a prince.
No, not at all. But
Tell me if you ever thought you'd see that day happen.
Yeah,
And they already offed one princess.
Hold that thought.
No, his daughters they still do carry royal titles. That's right. But he has been forbidden. In fact, the latest is he's not allowed to ride a horse on his property because that would be seen as being elitist.
the Brits are really weird.
The fact that they're going all in. They're putting all the chips in on this one here. This has got
Well,
them
he's the
running.
sacrificial lamb.
It is.
There's no way for him to get
there's-
out of it, though.
That's correct.
There's just too much.
There's because he held political influence at the time, they are going to crucify the boy.
Yes. Well, I mean, he was Randy Andy for a reason.
That's correct. So that's coming home to roost, and his brother.
I really didn't expect
royalty
fallout
is
from all of
thicker
it
than blood.
happening over here, though.
Sounds like, yeah.
I mean, I didn't really think it'd get too far out of this country, regardless of who else was. I figured
Oh,
that would
no,
all be
it's-
swept
it's-
under the rug, unseen. We don't want to talk about it type stuff. Then all of a sudden, boom.
It's all over Europe now. There's it's not just the politicians. It's
If it were an
corporate
earlier
CEOs.
age where there was not so much documentation that is available electronically,
Yeah.
it probably could have been swept under the rug.
Such as there was no cell phone cameras around when we were younger.
Exactly. We grew up the last unfettered generation in
Charles
so many ways.
Charles is very clear there will not be a constitutional crisis on this. Because his mother was remembered very well the constitutional crisis with Edward the Eighth. So yeah, they're going to make sure the royalties. They're going to circle the wagons.
Well, I mean, I don't see how there could be with Andrew.
There's not.
No,
Uh,
but I mean, it's easy to say there's going to be one, but because what could there be?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to circle the wagons with him on the outside of the wagon.
That is correct.
Right, but I don't think that
Sacrificial lamb.
I don't think there's any constitutional
they
crisis
kept
that
him
could come.
if they kept him inside, they would be accused of protectionism, and the monarchy itself might be subject to
Cancellation.
possible.
Yeah.
There's been movements in that area, and
Yeah, but nobody listens to those crazy Scots, anyways.
Republic.
Republic.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
So anyway, well, tell us. I want to pin you down a little bit more.
All right, let's finish
Because
this
it-
up.
We're at 117.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wanna
because
finish this
we
up.
got to get to the end, and we got to. What does this mean? But tell us about.
Yeah, because we've
Europe.
been an hour and 17 minutes. We haven't done any. What does this mean yet?
Well, Bourbon Break did cover a lot with memorials and so forth.
Yeah.
And
Well,
areas.
yes.
That did have to
It
add
was
in.
shorter than a lot of our bourbon breaks, though.
So tell me, where does Europe stand after 1815?
Well, as I politically,
continent.
Kind of back where it started, right?
well, politically, yes, but culturally, there's no going back. Eventually, as I mentioned,
But the politicians see this as the attempt to stabilize monarchy as the form of government throughout. And Britain being really the only one that is a functioning constitutional monarchy,
It's-
even at this point with Victoria.
it's the only one that survives ultimately, as we know,
yeah,
and only because they reinvent themselves.
yeah.
But that's exactly what happens.
I mean, other
along
places
the way.
might have parliaments or something, but they don't necessarily have to listen to them.
Well, yeah, it's Reichstags and things
yeah,
like that.
yeah, and Dumas and stuff. But
so much of
but
what
there's
happens
still so much power invested in these autocrats.
that is, and France won't stand for it until they realize that's the only way for stability. They remember that. That's why you have two very weak monarchs. Then you have Louis Philippe,
Yeah.
who was an attempt to be a compromise, and ultimately it just didn't work. He just wasn't of that stripe. They needed somebody stronger, and that's why Napoleon III comes in.
Who originally starts as president of France.
That's right.
He legitimately wins an election.
That's right. And so they're
But
trying to bring
Self
those.
coups himself basically and says, "Nope. I guess what? We're going back to being monarchy again."
Emperor, because
Yeah.
he's emperor of the French. So, and that ultimately that brings them into conflict with Germany, who decides, oh yeah, you're going to do that, we do that too, and that's where Bismarck comes forth, and all these the instability of Europe was already done. By 1815, it was just a matter of trying to rearrange the deck chairs. Sooner or later, they knew this is not enough. We have totally.
Well, but they didn't know. They didn't
Yeah,
know.
I don't-
No, you're right. You didn't know, but
I
ultimately,
mean,
we know.
again, where you see Franz Joseph is like, I am the last monarch of the old school. Telling this to like Teddy Roosevelt 100 years later, basically, is the Habsburgs, the Hohenzollerns, all these guys, and the Romanovs. We're still it. They didn't learn anything from any of this.
No, they didn't.
Well, no, they
Politically,
did. Well,
they didn't. But
what they learned was not necessarily the right lesson, but I mean, let's face it, they did last another century. You're talking,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking 4 generations.
Yeah, I mean, they learn, well, shoot anybody that shoots their mouth off.
Well, that's a lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lesson for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not the least
Yeah.
of which are those who are watching somebody get their head shot off.
Napoleon was the beginning of the end for the monarchical system.
Yeah. But when we,
See, I still don't.
when
I still don't know
when
that I
we
buy
say the American Revolution was the one that set the world on fire and the others were nothing, this is why we say that. Because Europe didn't change as a result of the French
that.
Revolution.
We may say the American Revolution set the world on fire, but I don't think that's true either.
I kind of agree.
I mean, I've heard it. I'm
Well,
just
I mean,
saying I
I know,
disagree
but
with it.
it-
Yeah.
from our perspective,
it's
it's
the
stuck.
one that worked.
Well, that's
It's
the
the
one-
only one that worked. Yes.
But that, from our perspective, as far as Europe's concerned, until Woodrow Wilson, nobody gives a shit about what worked in America or didn't work in America.
Yeah.
But
Well, and also
that's
our
a
revolution.
blindness that they didn't look at. They didn't look at France. They didn't look at us and go, "Gee, what we're doing isn't working." They didn't learn a lesson.
well, that's
But
I'm
that's the thing, though.
trying to agree with you on this, Martin.
Looking
actually.
at us is a bad example because I keep bringing this up. Our revolution is unique for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
One, because it worked.
you know,
2, because the people who fomented the revolution retained power,
right.
and there were no let's kill the revolutionaries multiple times like there was in France and in Russia later, and it wasn't a mob-driven revolution, which is really to me the primary reason why it did work. Almost every other revolution is mob-driven.
It's
And
a
I'll give you a fourth
middle-class
point in there
revolution.
too, because we was a bunch of self-sufficient, hard-headed, ornery people making our own way. We wasn't
Yep.
dependent on any government system
Well,
to come save us, feed us, or anything else.
you've slid into what I've been trying to say here with regards to that is politically.
Yeah. Okay.
What you're saying is exactly correct. The reason that politics essentially fell apart, the attempt to try and restore the monarchy, to try and restore order, for all the right reasons, wrong reasons, doesn't matter. Culturally, the tide had shifted. Freedom was
Yeah.
brought
Okay.
forth.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about. Is
In for the regular people, revolution's not going away. They're
That's
just
right.
waiting.
you will give
for
us what we
someone-
want. You will give us the freedoms, the rights, etc.
Yeah.
that we saw under the revolution.
Mhm.
Perfectly, certainly not. But that, and under Napoleon, perfectly, but certainly not. But they were meaningful changes, and the monarchs either adapted, like they tried to do with Louis Philippe, or they devolved into tyranny, which sooner or later, some folks like the Germans like that authoritarian approach. The French, not so much. That's one of the reasons, of course, they got their ass kicked. It's all complicated.
Yeah, how many times did they get their ass kicked by the Germans?
Well, yeah, that's right. 1870s when we're talking about here that's when, but that changed everything. But all that didn't go away until World War One. I mean, George Clemenceau was a child with when the Germans were marching down the Champs Elysees, and his watchword from that day forward was "Germany must pay." Until that was dealt with, there could be no rebirth.
And wait, we did learn, and we did win eventually.
With what? American might?
No, Greenpeace. We beat them fair and square.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's true because you're referring to this week they were
The Rainbow Warrior. No, the Rainbow Warrior was sunk
Rainbow
by.
Warrior, we sunk it.
Well, I know, but
And then now the lawsuit.
$435 million
Yeah.
of punitive damages, which has been reduced from what they were supposed to get.
Yeah.
They said we can't do it. We don't have the assets,
Yeah,
which basically
Greenpeace is
means
gone.
they're done. Check it out. It just dropped a couple
just
days
dropped.
ago.
On that note, well done, Francis.
I still don't know that I agree with the Napoleon changed everything. I'm sorry. I really don't.
Yeah, I understand that.
I just think that there's a lot of conclusions that are being drawn that are coincidental rather than causation.
It
Right.
feels
There's correlation maybe, but not
the
causation.
Napoleonic era feels like a huge black hole to me. It's like all of this was like supposed to all be new and different, but by the time you get to the end of it, it's the same old shit.
It's the mule. If you go to Foundation.
Well, you know,
Maybe,
until we
yeah.
get a
Use the
Wayback
mule.
machine and can actually go back and observe it, we'll just never know some
Yeah, I mean-
details. And if y'all know that reference out there, y'all old like us.
Yeah,
Well,
The Wayback Machine.
yeah, I do
You know,
think
it's-
that the
it's-
Foundation's aphorism is very important. He's the unpredictable piece that is dropped in.
Yes, he
And-
absolutely, and I'm sure that Asimov probably had Napoleon in mind when he
created the
created
character.
the mule. But what I go back to is again, I think if he truly had changed everything, wouldn't have taken 100 years.
well, it's kind of
My
like
opinion is I'm working a longer game. The ball is rolling down the hill.
Well,
from the
and
I mean,
because we've not also delineated this, because again, you're spending way too much time in the history. Honestly, we did not do. I wanted to get to the impact and the why and the all of that a lot sooner. I don't think we covered that enough, but we also can't keep going either. But I don't know that the temporary reforms in France under Napoleon had the impact that you think they did, because it would have to have impacted the entire rest of Europe, and I just don't see that.
well, it's kind of like watching the first Indiana Jones movie. You know, was Indy really? You know, if Indy wasn't there, the same thing would have happened in the end.
No, because they didn't know where Marion was. Todd had to follow Indy because they thought Indy was headed to find
Ravencroft.
Ravencroft. Abner. They thought
Abner.
they thought he was going to find
Ravenwood.
Abner. So even Indy doesn't know Abner's dead, but he knows where Marion is. He finds Marion. That's how they find the headpiece to the staff of Ra, and a good guess at someplace in the dig where the Well of the Souls is.
Yes, you are
So-
correct. The only thing that might have happened is they would have found it later, but then we had this little thing called World War II, so probably wouldn't have happened then.
Well, if
So-
Indy wasn't there, would they have found Marion Ravenwood with the Nazis?
Ravenwood. Sorry, I said Ravencroft.
Yeah, would they have? Would
That's what I'm saying.
Right,
Maybe
so that's
eventually,
the point.
They
That-
would have
right.
eventually.
they fought-
maybe.
They know. They basically the Nazis know Indy's going to go try to find Abner, so Todd follows him. Todd's on the plane when he goes to find Marion.
That's okay. There's your. That's
That's why
Yes,
Indy.
it's
puts
a good
everything
Big
in
Bang
motion.
Theory moment, but it's not.
It's not accurate.
he wasn't already going there.
Right.
Right.
If
Yes,
they don't follow Indy, they don't find Marion.
And she's in what, Nepal? I think
Yeah.
it was.
Yes.
Nepal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like there's a directory that you can look up, to see where she is. So, and there's not
Bartender in
electronic.
Nepal?
Pardon?
Bartender in Nepal.
Yeah, I mean it's not a list of all the bartenders in Nepal, and it's Marion River. So yeah. So I
So anyway, rabbit hole there. I'm trying to come to some agreement here with Robert, but yeah,
I'm not saying there's not an impact. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, it's just to me, if I think the impact, I think it's counterintuitive. If they aren't so aggressive, if the French aren't so aggressive and they stabilize and they fight purely defensively, then I think they get a chance to settle and they get a chance to, like, okay, we're not going to threaten all of your monarchies. Just leave us alone. Of course, I mean, ours gets a chance to develop internally because we've got an ocean of separation.
Yes.
So, they need separation to stabilize. And then the consulate or whatever probably could have worked out. And Napoleon could have gone down in history as this great democratic figure like a George Washington.
Possibly.
Except it was him.
Well, yes, but-
Exactly,
Well,
yeah.
actually, I think it's less that. It's this. I think it's a similar situation to the Russian Revolution.
Yeah.
Oh,
in-
do
in-
tell.
Yeah.
Because in the states, yes, we have the ocean of distance to isolate us, to allow us to develop and to create our traditions and what have you. But we already were a people that, as Cajun pointed out,
Self-sufficient.
Leave us alone.
self-sufficient, used to mostly governing ourselves. We came from a constitutional monarchy that it really is not entirely different than what we had when we, the cultural and societal and political differences aren't really that great. Yes,
No.
there's a king, doesn't have a whole lot of power, but there's a prime minister and a legislature. There's a court. It's not entirely dissimilar. And our citizens, they were educated, they were used to exercising certain freedoms already, whereas in France and in Russia, they're essentially serfs.
Yes, that's
Not
right.
so much in France,
Well, it's
but
it's a
specifically
peasant
they were.
reservoir-
Yeah.
but it's a peasant world. And even France compared to Britain is entirely different.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at the monarchies that lasted for a long time, that had really stable societies, the peasants tend to be less peasant-like.
They're more. In other words, education breeds stability.
Yes, for lack of a better term,
The middle
education
class
and culture,
gives
middle
sta-
class.
The middle class brings stability.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is the
And middle
point
cla-
of the
and-
middle
and
class.
Middle class does not occur without education.
Correct.
Without the ability to engage in trade across all social strata.
Well, that is education. It's just not
I think there's a
formal.
lot. Education is
Yeah,
part
I
of
mean,
that.
there's two or three things.
Yeah.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
basically,
I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, the
it-
thing to me is this notion that France has, and later Russia, that the only security is in forcibly exporting the revolution, that's false. That's the failure.
Absolutely, yes.
That's the failure. The security is in, hey, leave us alone for a while. We'll leave you alone. We're not.
Let's get this stuff
threatening you.
figured out.
Let's get this figured
This
out
is-
and
this
get
is
ourselves
all done
stabilized.
in the milieu of nationalism.
I'll give you that one.
Well,
Yeah.
better figure
We're
out how to
going-
wrap it up at this point.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think those are the reasons why the impact is less than you think. Now, I could be wrong. I'll grant that right now. But but Martin and I outvote you.
This is one of these. I love these episodes where, like, Robert and I kind of team up on Francis here, but he holds
Francis
his
doesn't
own
like
very
those
well.
episodes very
Well, we don't always team up against you. It's just
But they're good episodes.
they are.
They're good
Well,
episodes.
hopefully, we've made people think.
I
and
believe so.
consider.
I believe so. They can carry off with what we've talked about here and go on their own exploration of this era.
That's kind of the point. It's
Beauty
like
of
I
the-
tell people in OCIA, look, I am not here to give you absolutely everything the Catholic Church
Yes.
knows. I am here to give you the basics and for you to be inspired to go study the rest of it yourself.
That's kind of our mission statement here.
Exactly.
We're not going to tell you
Pointless
what to
discussion of
think.
eternal questions.
Right. We're not going to tell you what to think is snakes and otters, but you go out and you study it yourself and determine if we're full of hooey.
That's right. And if you think we're full of hooey, let us know. We'll have you on the show and you can explain how we're full of hooey.
Amen. All right, we done?
What's next, Francis?
We're going to do Code of Honor next. We're here at Studio R with Robert, so he's got something lined up. I have no idea.
Sure I do.
Up,
Yes.
up his sleeve or in his butt crack or something.
Let's not go there.
Somewhere.
We're going to discuss some sort of cool quotation that Robert somehow always manages to pull. So be here next episode.
We hope you enjoyed another pointless discussion of eternal questions. Remember, new episodes drop every second and fourth Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern, just in time for your morning commute. And every fifth Friday, we drop a special Hoopajube episode. Spread the word we are on all the major platforms, and leave us a review. That helps others find us. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as our website, snakesandotters.com. Join us next time. Same snake time, same otter channel.